Welcome to Soundbreaker. In today's episode, we're talking to Shatadru Sarkar, who is music industry executive with 20 years experience and currently is the co-founder and CEO Mass or Metastar Media, which is extremely revolutionizing a platform. Which is I seen it. He took me through the whole thing. Absolutely mind blowing. Definitely the future of monetization for artists and fans, and actually also probably the new way of streaming music and consuming content. Shatadru, thank you for joining us today. For our listeners who might not be familiar with you, could you please introduce yourself before we dive into it? This is going to be extremely insightful and exciting interview, and to talk about your platform that you built and you're running.
Sure. Thank you for having me on your podcast, Bob. So,
My
of
pleasure.
course, I work in the Indian music industry. Like you mentioned, 20 years, 2 decades of, working at some of the biggest labels in the country. I'm very familiar with the ecosystem here. Been looking at content monetization for the last 15 years. Done roles across A&R, licensing, publishing. So I'm very familiar with the ecosystem, a music label ecosystem, a music industry ecosystem. So that's what I've been doing. I branched out a couple of years ago to start Metastar Media. What we do is basically focus on the artist. We'll obviously discuss a lot more further down the conversation, but monetization for artists is an issue today. It's
Correct.
well documented, well known. So the idea of Metastar was to how do we engage with fans better, help artists engage with their fans better, and number two, once you engage with the fans, how do we monetize that better? Right, monetize that brand, monetize that relationship across different diverse verticals. It's not today. It's just not about selling music or streaming music. It is about merchandising. It is about fan connection. It is about fan access. So how do we bring that entire gamut of monetizing an artist's brand on one platform, which is the front ended by the artist? So that's what we've created. A white label solution for artists to connect with their fan base.
Interesting. So each artist will, when you said white label, for our listeners and viewers might not be familiar with the term white label, is pretty much each artist will have their own world, meta world, metaverse world, or what
Yes.
virtual reality or mixed reality world.
Yes. So each artist has their own space. It can be their own, actually, the platform can reside on their own domain. It has their customized URL, and each space is custom designed for each artist. So, and one of the learnings from the
Ooh.
music industry is it's not a one size fits all model. Each artist is unique.
Yes, I like that. So each
Right
artist will
there.
go with their vibe, with their style of music, and
Exactly.
just the whole vibe. Yes,
Exactly.
the whole aesthetic of the artist. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So what the platform does, it allows them various touch points and opportunities to monetize their brand, right? And this not monetize, but also to engage with their fan base on their own terms, right? And it's up to the artist what functionalities they want, how they want us to build a space for them, how they want to connect with the artists, with not the artists, with their fans. So it's really deep down customized for each artist, for their brand, and the way they want to connect with their fans.
What's the brand or the platform name that
So
would
the platform is called
somebody go
Artist
and look at?
Verse, Artist Verse, but each
Artist
artist, like I
verse.
said,
Okay.
that's really, like I
They'll
said,
have
this
their
is
own.
a,
Correct. Yes.
yeah, right. So this the Artist Verse could be a bobshami.com, right? But the
Got
tech
it.
behind
Yes.
it is ours, that powers the platform, that powers the immersive experience, and all the various commerce and functionalities on it.
This is pretty revolutionizing because I feel this is the future, and that's where a lot of the fans and the artists going towards that route. I'm not saying everybody gonna leave the labels or major labels, or a lot of the independent labels who stand and help artists, but I think it's creating more independent for artists, more
Yeah.
independence.
It's just
Artists
not
doesn't need
independence. Yeah.
the,
It's just not independence. It's
not
also
just
a certain level of autonomy as well. There are a lot of independent artists that are working with current streaming platforms, but they don't have a say in a lot of commerce that goes on onto these platforms, right? You can't say at what rate you're going to get paid at. You can't say at what rate you want your fans to consume your content, to consume your brand. So this sort of gives that true freedom to an artist, that it's just not about being independent but autonomous as well, where you kind of decide that I want to sell something at the next price, and each artist has the flexibility to kind of decide their price points, their commerce models, their engagement models with their fans. So it's really
You
giving artists
know,
their power and decide what they want to do.
pretty much empowering artists, give them the power they
Yes.
need and they deserve after all this time. Shatadru, you've been in the music business for a while, as you said early in the beginning of the interview. You've been, what's 15 years, I would say? You've been in the music business or the music
18
industry
years.
or
Yeah.
longer? 18 years.
18
Okay.
years. Yeah.
Quite a while. You've seen a lot of changes, a lot of development, a lot of involvement. You've seen a lot of things done wrong, done right. And I'm sure there's um, let's talk about your kind of path, what led you to start, Artistverse, the platform and the idea behind it. Let's talk about your starting in the music business. I know you worked probably for some of the biggest record companies. One of them, I know Times of India is one of the largest companies and the largest catalog holder of Indian music
One
in
of them.
India. And Sargama, what is it? Sargama,
Saragama is actually
Sargama,
the one of the
Sargama,
yeah,
Sargama.
that's another Indian major as well. Saragama. Yeah. So I
Amazing.
started
Let's talk
because
about
if I look
your beginning.
Yeah. So I mean, I started in the industry by chance, really. It was a fluke. I was in between degrees. I'd finished a degree. I had about 8 months to kill before, and I wanted to study some more. So I thought, let me get a job and just get some work experience. And it just so happened that I started working at a music label, which was Sarigama, in fact, one of the biggest Indian music labels in the country. And it was
Yeah,
supposed to be a short-term stint, but I really loved the work that I was doing. Even the company loved the work that I was doing for them. So towards the end of that stint, I was asked that, hey, I know you're going to leave and study some more, but would you consider coming back and working for us? So I was like, yeah, I really liked the work that I was doing over there. It was, and I've been a music lover, like a lot of folks, but no one really planned. I never really planned to work in the music industry, so that was a welcome surprise. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to work for you guys. And they're like, hey, wait, what if we give you that offer right now? So that's really how that happened. Started working in the digital space very early on in the digital evolution, right? In 2006, 2007, when there was no streaming, it was still downloads, it was ringtones, which was the first, sign of digital music business, right? Back in the days. So
speaking of ringtone, how fast we evolved, and look where we are now.
yeah,
And it feels like
seriously.
yesterday. It really feels like yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 2007. I mean, it was still a physical product business. So so this ringtones, but the physical product business was hit by piracy, Napster, etc., etc., and these new revenue channels were evolving, and since they were new, they're like, hey, let's get this young kid, let him handle these businesses. We don't know where this is going, but let this guy in, and that was really my start working in digital.
Yeah.
And then fortunately I had a boss who also kind of gave me a lot of experience outside of the digital. So I've done A&R, I've signed artists, I've done licensing, I've done publishing. So over a course of time, over years, I had a well-rounded experience. It wasn't just working in a single vertical or a single uh, channel. It was working different portfolios, different profiles, and I like to think I have a good understanding of the business. And towards the end, after doing 15, 16 years, and when it became streaming came in, that became the main revenue generator. I saw certain gaps in the industry. Obviously, working with a lot of artists, I saw that I could foresee that streaming is going to hit revenues for independent artists very soon. I think as streaming as a model maybe works for the majors, works for the labels, works for big catalog owners because it's a long tail business. But for independent artists, it's their revenue from recordings has almost disappeared. Let's put it that way. And there are a lot of artists that I worked with who every artist doesn't need to be a performing artist, right? They're amazing artists who are producers. They just want to produce music. right? And their revenue was gone as well. So the idea was that, how do we create a platform that allows them to diversify their income, so they're not dependent on any single source of revenue. When COVID hit, performance income was gone as well, right?
Yes.
How do you plan? And all professionals, right, in different walks of life have diverse revenue sources, right? So the idea of the platform was, can we diversify revenue for artists, look at different channels where they can earn money from, and B, give them a certain amount of control where they don't feel that, hey, we're again being sucked into some weird game by a tech giant and giving away control. So the idea was, to give them a platform where they can also decide a lot of, what activities they want to do. They can decide what price they want to make those functionalities, and features available at, and of course, have different ways to make money. And that was the idea of the immersive platform. It was one is the essence of the platform is actually direct to fan. I think that
Yes.
is the future of monetization. It's not going to come from 100 million people paying you fractions. It's going to come from small communities paying you more, right? I think that's the future of monetization, and that is the essence of what our platform is. So if you can attract that 1% of a core fan base and monetize that better across various functionalities and features and exclusive cool content, which they're not going to find anywhere else.
I mean, excuse me. So you would think this is the future of artists, whether they are big artists, major artists, or independent artists, where direct to fans monetization and fans pretty much involved in the music itself, involved in the world, in the artist world. Now, do you feel that this type of experience will, there's more probably, there's, I'm sure you're working on more functionalities and more technology where the artist himself, and I mean, I'm sorry, excuse me, the fan themselves become the artist in their world, singing their music and acting, in their videos that take place in their world.
I think that is definitely the future of so when you start engaging with fans directly, right? Then it just opens up a
Yeah.
myriad of possibilities, right? Including fans in your creativity, including fans in your creation, is definitely, I feel, going to be a big part of what's coming up as part of, the artist and fan kind of relationship, right? That is how you get closer, and it's already happening, right? There is cases of fan art. There have been cases of fans being featured in videos, right? I think this is the next logical step of co-collaboration between artists and fans. So that's something that, what we're also actively looking
Yeah.
at is creating a platform where artists can collaborate with their fan base. And the other thing which I didn't mention is that we also looked at, what format, what kind of platform, what kind of experience do fans want, right? I think it goes beyond
Yes.
scrolling through a streaming service or scrolling through a website. They want experiences. They want, I think immersive entertainment, immersive immersion is the future of the internet itself. If you look at the kind of innovation that's happening, trends that are happening in terms of gaming, in terms of, meta rebranding,
Gaming.
yeah,
Gaming. Yes.
in terms of
Yeah.
even the kind of devices that the big tech giants are invested in. I think immersive entertainment, VR, is definitely around the corner, and so I
So are
think
you saying
immerse.
the death of cell phones soon?
At some
It's a
point,
device. These are the devices.
yeah, yeah. At some point, I think VR will. It's still early days in VR because the VR headset, is still not there as yet. In terms of, it's still. I feel personally, I've been in the VR game since 2018. I still think it's bulky. It has its limitations, but that's tech. It is going to get solved. But VR and immersive is not just dependent on a VR headset, right? Today, kids are playing video games. They're playing games on their PCs, on, TV, on PlayStations, etc., which are really immersive environments, right? I think that immersive, creating a world and being able to immerse your fan in your brand is the future of that artist to fan connect. It can happen on a flat screen. It can happen on a VR device. But I think that immersive culture is going to be the future of that, of you know building that deeper connect with your fan base.
And you think it'll be regular glasses like Facebook have, similar but way enhanced? You could do everything with them, literally similar to what Provision does, but in a more
Exactly.
simpler
Like if
version.
you look at the
Very
Panasonic sort
light.
of, I think so they have to become lighter, right? I think that is the future of VR. Is
Something you put in your pocket and take it out, or leave it. Let's say
Yeah.
you walk like a shade, like a pair of shades. You're walking outside in the sun or hanging out, laying on the beach by the pool or something,
Like
whatever.
like if you
Yeah.
remember the steampunk sunglasses, right? It could be
Yeah.
something like that, right? And I think if I remember correctly, Panasonic is actually working on a version of those. But of course, battery life, etc., etc. Those are things that which is tech driven. Um, I think those are going to be solved soon. But again, the platform that we've created is not necessarily VR dependent; is VR compatible. But immersive is a key word that you can have an immersive experience even on a laptop, on a PC, on that's what games do, right? So what we're trying to build is a cross section of entertainment and gamification as well.
I would say Metastar, or Artistverse, your company and the platform. Are you thinking of expanding also to independent films or just movies in general? Is there a way that, movies could be part of this world, that Artistverse, or only for now you're focused on singers, music, artists?
So, video content can definitely, it is already
Yes.
part of our world, right? But the idea is to, our long term vision is to really create a virtual culture hub, you know, where independent artists, and I want to expand from musicians, there are other artists who are still facing issues with streaming, with digital. It could be dancers, it could be visual artists. They need a platform, they need to monetize, they have a fan base, they have a following. So it's bringing so the ultimate vision is to really create a virtual culture hub where you come in as a consumer of culture. You get to select which artists you want to interact with, and across variety of disciplines.
Interesting. Interesting. But definitely, because, the way we consume music, eventually, the way we're going to consume visual content, which is once you have the video figured out already, which you did, movie just a longer version,
Yeah,
and how the fans also can they be part of that movie, can take part of it, become some of them, should say, an avatar version of them become the actor, as the actor's acting in the movie. So yes, I do see the future coming. And when I came across your platform and we spoke and you took me for a tour, I was pretty much really baffled. I'm like, wow, this is the future. This is the future. This is what I've been saying. And fans want the experience. That's why we saw, I
yes,
would say, the exploding of TikTok, because it became that different kind of experience while you create viral videos that you own the video, you create the video,
sure,
you become, the, how should I say, the user became the creator
yeah,
and the creator became the artist, and it kind of create that different kind of experience. People over that, yes, they are kind of like they want something different, something new, and I think that's where this whole mixed reality, metaverse world, artist verse, gonna come to play, and it'll be slowly people will adapt it. There are already a lot of the young people, or not just young, I should say, anybody who plays video games, they're already used to that metaverse world.
exactly,
It
exactly.
started with what's the name of it? With Roblox years ago.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that the kids today have grown up on Roblox. I know my nephew would rather sit at
Yes.
home and play Roblox with the neighbor's kid, and as opposed to just go out and meet the kid, right? So they're used to social interaction. That's why I said, I feel the future of internet. I feel the future of social media is going to become immersive. So it's not a novel experience. It is an experience a lot of people are already used to. But how do we, and we're just applying that to a fan connect to build a deeper connect.
Yes.
I think artist content monetization, brand monetization, fan engagement has to go beyond, buying a ticket for a gig or just streaming someone's song on Spotify, right? That's just content consumption. That's not engagement. And as we know already, monetization is at an all-time low for artists
Correct.
on these platforms. So
Yes.
so something had to give. And the idea is, can we bring everything under one platform? So if you are a fan of an artist, everything that you would want from that artist across various verticals, be it a master class, it could be guitar tutorials, it could be just a digital meet and greet, but everything is available on one platform. So that way, also for an artist, you're not bouncing your fan base from one platform to another depending on what business that you want to do. That was another kind of learning from when the NFT boom happened, right? That artists were like, hey, if you
Yeah.
want to stream my music, go to Spotify. If you want to buy my NFT, go to somewhere else. If you want to buy my merchandise, go somewhere else. So it was like, literally, if you wanted to engage holistically with an artist, you are as a fan looking at 5, 6, 7 different platforms that you need to sign up at, right? I thought the idea was to bring that entire ecosystem onto one platform.
Together. Yes. Now, what if somebody, let's say, you have fans, they are fans of 15 different artists or 10 different artists. And how did that going to work? Like they would have to go, let's say, to Artistverse, and let's say if there's another platform similar to yours that also goes, or each artist will have their own world, and they would have to go to 15 different worlds or
So
15
it's
different
all within our
verses. Like
ecosystem.
how?
So it's like going to, so it's still a single login. You don't have to sign up separately for different artists versus. So it's just literally a gateway, right? If you're a fan of, I'm just gonna throw out a name, Guns N' Roses, you go to Guns N' Roses and you're like, hey, I love Metallica as well, right? There's one link that
Lovely.
brings you straight into Metallica's world. You don't need to sign out, re-log
So the
in,
idea will
and
be one big giant ecosystem for
yes.
every single artist out there. It's like, I don't want to bring back the streaming platform, but let's say you're going to Spotify or Deezer or, Amazon Music. And you just say, you know what? I'm in the mood to listen to some electronic dance. Boom, all the electronic dance artists. I'm looking to listen to jazz. All the jazz artists comes up. Okay, and I got it. It's yes, it makes a lot of sense. It makes it easier.
Like
And
I
now you're
said,
not
it's a
just sitting
cultural
there
hub.
listening. You're engaging.
Yeah, yeah, and like I
Yes,
said, it's a
yes.
hub, right?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not
I
a
believe yes, yes,
yeah.
yeah. So are you saying some of the big leading streaming platform, which is the traditional now, they're no longer the new, they're just the traditional thing. Like people say, oh yes, we're going the traditional route, the record stores and all of that. Those are gone. Now you have the DSPs with digital streaming platforms. These are the new traditional, and now they're becoming the old one very soon. So you think that will eventually it'll come to an end until some of these platforms adapt that type of immersive technology that really based on fan engagement, or that's a
So
big massive infrastructure to kind of take on and take over,
yeah.
and take on, I should say, not take over.
So I'm not here to honestly take on a massive streaming platform,
Yeah.
right? They have
No,
their
I'm
business
just, well, no, the future is coming.
uh,
It's inevitable. You cannot
right?
change. Technology is growing and we're evolving. So everybody said, oh, digital, no, people still like to go to record stores. They're gone. Okay, there's one here and there. I call them novelties. But the reality, it doesn't
Sure.
exist anymore. They're gone.
See, the
So
thing with
eventually everything has to
yeah,
come to an end. You know that.
yeah, with streaming, I don't know, how soon the streaming model is going to be disrupted. But one thing is very clear: is the streaming business model is broken, right? It's well documented. It's in public domain. A lot of people have spoken
So
about it.
5 to 10 years, what do you say? 5 to 10 or less than 10? 5 years, 10 years?
Unless they adapt and unless they adopt new kind of business structures. See, it's streaming. I mean, for independent artists, unless an artist is ready to be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to make money from my music, which I also don't see happening. So streaming is something that is not gonna independent artists are always gonna suffer in terms of stream payouts, right? So they need so that my idea was not is that you can be on Spotify, sell your music on Spotify, but you need alternative sources of revenue. What else can we do as well? We can obviously, content streaming is also part of our platform, but I'm I'm gonna front today. I'm not gonna say that Spotify user, because for a user Spotify is amazing, right? For very cheap you're getting all the music in the world, right? I don't know if
Yes,
I can do
correct.
that, right? From a user perspective, right? But
And
I do.
you're also getting audiobooks when you go to such the audiobooks,
Exactly,
podcasts,
right?
and all of that.
Right. So that's the thing. So the idea is, Spotify has a business model. It's not serving certain level of artists. Can I build something that will help them, that group, monetize their brand better? It could be something other than streaming, right? Like I said, it could be monetizable direct access to for fans, for direct access to artists. It could be education. It could be tutorials. It could be merchandise, NFTs. But let's build that model on one platform, which is owned, which is fronted by the artist.
I mean, the interaction, that's the big thing. The fan, the engagement with fans is the big thing. Something that a lot of the artists, whether they're independent or major artists, really didn't have. The only engagement they have is social media. And you don't own these fans because they owned by,
They, exactly.
the
They own by
platform that
Instagram,
they're on. So
Facebook, etc. Of course.
if they take if they take down your Instagram by, if you posted something wasn't politically correct or something that you shouldn't, or whatever, somebody hacked it and post something and they took down your account, your 2, 3, 5, 10 million followers are
Yeah.
gone on that platform. You have no phone numbers. You cannot getting. You have no direct emails and names for these people. So that platform holds, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. They own
Yeah,
these
that's
followers.
it's
They're not
it's like
yours.
I keep telling artists that you're spending a lot of time, effort, money on building these castles, and then literally handing over the key to someone else, where they can shut down your business anytime they want,
Yes,
right? You don't own
correct.
anything. You don't
Yes,
own the
yes,
data. You don't own the
yes.
platform. So and today labels function as channels, right?
Yeah.
So that resides on a third party platform. So it's your money, your
You're
investments.
yes, you based out of India. Your platform, obviously,
Yeah,
it's out there online, but the company based out of India. Now,
yeah.
do you have artists already outside of India that's saying, "Hey, I love what you know, Artist Verse stands for, and I want to have my own world." Anybody outside of India, like whether they're from Europe, Asia, Middle East, Africa, North America?
No, not as yet. We are in talks with
Not yet.
artists in North America and Asia as well. But currently, all the artists
Hmm.
that we're working with are Indian artists. We're still a work in progress. I'm not going to say that we're up there, perfected the platform. We're still building, we're still
Yes.
learning, we're fixing stuff. So it's been an organic growth. One thing which I'm very clear on is that we're bringing some solid value to artists, and it's a question of just meeting them, showing them the platform. Every artist that I've shown it to, doesn't matter where they're from, and I've done the from LA to Singapore to Japan, they've loved the platform. They s-
Amazing.
they see an intrinsic value in it.
W- Amazing. Now, an artist comes in. How do we? I mean, I don't know if you feel comfortable. Is it okay if you discuss how does the process? Like, how much would the artist have to pay for this? Is it a revenue share model, or is it where they pay you to develop their own customized world that's based on their aesthetic and their style of music, their image, and just the whole persona? Or how does it work? If I'm an artist, I call you. I'm from here, out of, in the state, and I'm like, hey, Shatadru, I'd like to have my own world, my own verse world.
So it's a mix, right? They pay. There's a small upfront fee for us to develop the immersive, customized 3D world, right?
Absolutely, I
Because
would
that
assume.
belongs.
All this
That
work that
belongs to
goes
them.
into the creative work.
Yeah, and that belongs to them. It's not, it is literally, it's built for them. It's completely customized, right? So that's what they pay for.
Yes.
But the entire backend that runs the platform, runs all the commerce, the streaming, and then we have karaoke where fans can come and sing and collaborate with the artists. So there's a lot of cool functionalities that we've built. So that we provide on the revenue share. So that's the model that we have. That one upfront payment, and then it's a revenue share on the commerce that the platform does.
Amazing. Yes.
So instead of an AMC, we're happy to do a revenue share.
Okay. Good. Good to know. Now, the future is coming. The future is here. The changes in the music business obviously is happening, and we see it every day, whether it's AI or the AI driven or mixed reality driven or verse driven. Would that change also the live concerts?
Well, live concerts is, so we actually
Because some
have
people say this is the only thing left.
yeah. Yeah, but I personally, as a music lover, I don't think a live
Yeah.
concert experience is replicable in digital. It's not going to be the same. But of course, it
No.
is digital space that you have that opportunity to do it. The experience not be as good as actually attending a live concert. But like I was said, the idea also
100%.
came when, imagine when, when there was a COVID, there was no live concerts. So what was your second best option? Is digital, right? When during COVID, I remember spending a lot of time in my VR headset watching shows. I remember that time Oculus, before Meta bought Oculus, they were, every week they'd have some concert playing. And I would just immerse
Yes.
myself. So immersive entertainment is there to stay. Is it going to replace live shows? No, I don't think so. But is it going to give you a larger reach and another opportunity? Can you play for 5 million people live, 10 million people live, as opposed to,
Yeah.
50,000 at a venue? Those are the opportunities that the digital and metaverse and immersive entertainment presents.
Amazing. I mean, listen, you take a 5 year old and you introduce him to this new verse world and concerts and live music. Well, I wouldn't say live, just more in the verse world. A couple of years later, this has become the norm to them. So for them to take them later to a live concert when they're 10 years old, they might like it. They might say, no, no, I don't want that. I want my own little verse. I want to go back to
I
the
would
virtual
prefer to
reality
chat
world.
with people.
Yes, you can watch a concert, make comment, get on the stage, dance, sing. You
Yeah.
become the artist yourself in your own image. I mean, yes, there is a lot going on. I mean, people say this will never change. This will never change. Unfortunately, technology always wins in a way,
I
in a
agree.
positive way, because I feel all our answers in life is based on education and technology. The more we evolve, the more we learn, the more we enhance and develop and go. I think more answers come to us as humans. So I'm a big fan of education, big fan of using technology and advance ourselves, because technology, that's where the answers are. Anything you want to know about life, keep advancing, and answers will start to appear in front of your face. They'll
And I
start to,
think
but you
what
got to
what you
keep advancing
value
and keep
is,
evolving.
yeah, and what you
Yeah.
value is experience also changes, like you said, with age. 40-year-old
Yes.
me
Yes.
would say, "Hey, I love to go to a live concert as opposed to watch it in a VR
Yes.
headset." Ask a 10-year-old, his experience might be completely different. He might be like, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to go into a crowd. I don't want to go through all the hassle of going to a concert. I'd rather watch it in my VR headset." So I think
Yes. To
with
lay on the couch, on
generations,
my bed, or on the
yeah,
floor. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
for each
Absolutely.
generation, each
Things
user
change.
is different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, with
So
technology and advancement, you lose a lot of things also, like less socializing. Socializing is part of our, humanity. That's how the way we were built physically and to interact. Remember what happened with COVID? You mentioned it a couple of times. The suicide rate was, I don't want to talk that word here, negative things on Soundbreaker, but, that was one of the facts that people suffered from. We're not species that be locked in alone. You raise a new generation just at home, and with the metaverse world, that could be normal 10, 20 years from now, you know.
consumer behavior
And I think
evolves,
it's
right?
how do we use technology? Yes, but you're right. One of the most important things that you mentioned, especially with the platform that you developed and you building and you have out there, Artistverse, is that we talked about one of the important things that is the interaction, with the fans, the fan base. Fans wants to interact directly with artists. They want to feel the communication. They want to feel the bond. And as we both discussed, people hire these marketing companies, which is great. They help artists get their word, get their who they are out there across the world by social media. Social media is a great way. Amazing. We're thankful to social media. Became entrepreneurs. They built $100 million business, $10 million business, $1 billion businesses through social media. Absolutely. New stars were born through social media. But again, the only issue is those fans and those followers, they're not yours.
Yeah, and also,
They belong to the
it's not
platform.
yours. Yeah,
So anytime the platform could yank them out. Yeah.
yeah. And also in a way to authenticate, you don't know who's on the other side, right? um, that's something which,
Yes.
in fact, today I was speaking to a user of the platform, and he said that, the difference between me sending a message on your platform and me sending a message on of Instagram or Facebook is, I don't even know if the artist is getting the message. I don't even know if they're responding.
Yes.
I haven't even know they've seen it. But over here, it is authentic because I'm writing to Bob Shami on bobshami.com, and there is, you know,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
is
There's
not
no way you could avoid it.
populated
It's right
by,
there.
yeah, 5 million people, right?
Yes.
So
Obviously, this will authenticate the relationship between artists and the fans.
yeah,
Would that also help, beside the engagement, would that also help the merchandising, the merch? Would that help increase sales of merch on these platforms for the artist?
yeah, it will, but we're also looking at, merch is not a new business, right? I think
Sure.
also what fans look for is, merch is, for me, is buying a product. It's not really a development of an artist fan engagement, that relationship, right? It's a byproduct of that. So we're looking at the different
Got it.
features. How can you directly interact
Mhm.
on video with artists? Can we set up, listening sessions with the artist, where, on live streams, stuff like that, which you actually brings the fan into the artist world. Anyone can design merch, right? I can design a Metallica T-shirt and put
Correct.
it up for sale, right? So it's a product,
You
right?
know what will be interesting? Yes, that the fan gets involved in designing merch.
Yes.
I wish this artist made these things, and they go into their world and they design it
Yeah.
themselves. And obviously it goes directly to a manufacturing house and get printed, manufactured, and sent, whether it's a bottle of water or a headset they need with the artist or t-shirt or clothing, piece of clothing, whatever.
And it's
Yeah.
authenticated by the artist. That's the connect, right? It's
Yes.
not
Yes.
um,
Yes.
a
Yeah.
random piece of fan art that got productized, right? It is, that, hey, I sent it out, and now Metallica is selling my piece of my design, right? Um, on their portal.
What's next? What's the future or the upcoming near future that we in actually for Artistverse?
So future is really building our artist base. Like you mentioned, I'm definitely looking, going global, fine tuning the
Okay.
platform. When we got it,
Amazing.
with any new tech which is unprecedented, you also face unprecedented problems. So, resolving those, and I keep telling people tech is a constant, learning curve. So new
Yes.
tech, especially when you're getting into new areas that hasn't been explored before.
Okay. So if anybody wants to invest in Artistverse, how do they get a hold of you?
They get I'm on LinkedIn. They can come onto the Metastar page as well. Contact me via that, and yeah, I think that'd be the best way to get a hold of me.
So the page is out there that to connect with you is Metastar. That's
Yes,
the company name that owns,
yeah,
yes,
metastar.io,
Artistverse. So Meta. Okay.
metastarmedia.io, and I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you
Yes,
can always reach out to me.
metastarmedia.io.
Yeah.
Amazing. Shatadru, before we say goodbye to this immersive interview, I would say, definitely enjoyed it. Yes, an eye opener for me and for our listeners and viewers on Soundbreaker. Any advice for coming from an entrepreneur who's been in the music industry and who carved his own path to create, to kind of carve the future for artists and fans and the music industry by revolutionizing the way that both interaction, that immersive interaction. Any advice for the young entrepreneurs who starting their journey?
Well, I'm still learning, so got to keep learning. Number one, and a lot of solutions is entrepreneurship, the music, and that was the first piece of advice I got in the music industry. Is it's not rocket science. Some of the solutions are right there in front of you. It's just doing it the right way and doing it at a scalable level is, I think, what entrepreneurs can.
Yes.
But that's something I firmly believe in is that nothing in the music business is rocket science. Everything is addressable. Everything is doable. Just need to figure out the right way to do it.
Amazing. Well, definitely we're going to be on the lookout for Artist Verse. We'll keep checking out on it and see what's new and how globally this phenomenon going to expand, and more artists I'm sure will join from all over the world. Shatadru, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. This concludes today's episode on Soundbreaker. Please make sure to follow us on socials. Stay tuned for a new episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Pleasure being here. Cheers.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the Soundbreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.